Nigerian oil revenue in billions of dollars. Provocative enough? Compelling enough? Riveting enough? Well, you wait and see what today's episode has to offer. Welcome to the Whistleblower on GUTV. GUTV is powered by Uboh Whistleblowers Network. Today on the program, we are once again joined by Nigeria's foremost whistleblower and chairman of the Uboh Whistleblowers Network. He is none other than Dr. George Uboh. Doctor, it's always good to have you on the program.
Thank you.
The social media space has gone agog due to the statement attributed to the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, following his interview with Channels TV yesterday, where he said the amount of money in which is being expected from the British government of the Ibori loot, so to speak, will not be returned to Delta State. As someone who is not only a security expert, but an expert in asset recovery, what is your reaction to that?
Thank you very much, sir. I have always praised my friends, the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, when he does good. And I've always criticized him objectively when he's wrong. That is the work we do, we in the civil society space. Now, this matter is very emotional because I'm from Delta State. This matter is quite germane to me because Bayelsa State engaged me, and I have the engagement letter, to do the same thing. I was engaged by Bayelsa State to recover unremitted funds. What do I mean by that? Even as bad as EFCC is, and my fight with EFCC is on the record, EFCC told the line of transferring funds recovered from late Alabisi, my friend, transfer the funds to Bayelsa State. EFCC transferred the funds relating to Joshua Darie recovered funds to Plateau State. My only gripe with EFCC was the fact that EFCC did not remit all remittable funds to Bayelsa State, but they did remit because they recognized the globally accepted legal principle that proceeds of crime must go to the victim. I am shocked, to say the least, that my friend Attorney General Malami would now, in the case of Delta State, would want to shift gears. There is a long-standing precedence in this country, which is in tandem with POCA, Proceeds of Crime Act, but in tandem with best legal practice, best global practices, that you give the proceeds of crime to the victim. I cannot reconcile the facts nor the law in order to grapple with what the Attorney General has done here. I have a document. One of the documents I have from the 3 boxes of documents I have against the EFCC. This document was used in the context of showing that EFCC only transferred 6.7 billion naira to the government out of the 1.071 trillion naira it recovered from criminal suspects. But it still dovetails this issue. How? Because in the same document, a 5th April 2013 letter from Accountant General of the Federation to the Chairman House Committee on Drugs, Narcotics and Financial Crimes, that is the Committee Oversight in the EFCC, he stated the aforementioned account titled EFCC Recovered Funds Account is being maintained and operated at the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. The account receipted the total sum of 6.7 billion naira, out of which the sum of 3.1 billion naira was transferred to Bayelsa State government being Alamesi has recovered assets. It's just that they didn't transfer all. Okay? It goes further to say 105.8 million naira is transferred to Plateau State government, being Joshua Darie's recovered assets. So this is a long-standing precedent. I just don't understand why this would happen in this case. You know, I always posit what happens here and in the US. Of course, in the US we have the Fifth Amendment rights that protects, they call it equal protection clause, meaning people that are equally situated have to be protected equally. So, and of course, our constitution talks against discrimination. So, if you give Bayelsa State funds you recovered from Alamisia, you gave Plateau State funds you recovered from Darie, not giving the Delta State funds you recovered from Ibori is discriminatory. I mean, so it violates the constitution. And I just cannot grapple with this. To me, it is a slap, a dirty slap on the faces, on the cheeks of all Deltans in particular. And I will do anything and everything within my power, because this is my state, to ensure that we right this wrong. I'm on that process, and it's just appalling. I don't know where Nigeria is heading. This is exactly what the international community always talks about not towing in line with the rule of law, contravening the rule of law. I just don't understand. Are we, a banana republic that we wake up today, we use this set of law, we wake up down the line, we use another? I just don't understand. And these are all indices that form the corruption perception index. These policies that contravene, violate, somersaults each year. When you run a country like this, certainly the international community will say this is not a serious country. So when I discuss corruption perception index, this is what they look at to say this country rolls out policies that aid corruption. That is what people don't. It's a perception. It's how they perceive you. It is how they perceive you based on the policies, the policies that are contrary, policies that go against the rule of law, policies that, in this case, go against itself. So you have a policy that is wrestling with itself. The policy of transferring recovered loot to the victim. Now you are changing course again. So I think the issue is provocative, compelling, and riveting enough for Uboh TV to really wade into. Thank you very much.
Are you now joining heads with human rights lawyer Femi Falana to say that Malami's decision is faulty?
Well, I don't need to join anybody. Any sound, you don't even need to be legally sound. And anybody that is upright, anybody that wants this country to be respected globally, must see this as a throwback. This is what you see in a dictatorship. You just wake up whimsically out of just in a capricious manner and do what you like. The reasons my friend AGF propounded are so legally flawed, and I'm shocked and bewildered to say that because federal law is violated. Excuse me, since when does the law you violate become the premise of the receipt of recovered assets. In law, you have ingredients. Anything you are dealing with in law, when you are talking of process of crime, it goes back to the victim. The issue of the underlying offense you commit or you have committed are not it's not of the moment. That comes at the prosecution phase, whatever crime you committed, not at the phase of returning the assets. I just don't understand that.
In his words, though, he said the crimes that led to the diversion is a federal one. Do you see any conflict? Talking about precedents now, do you see any conflict in what transpired with Plateau and Bayelsa with this particular?
It discriminates Delta and Deltans. We are being discriminated against. And I'm taking this not just as Judge Uboh, the whistleblower or the anti-corruption crusader. I'm taking it personally because it has to do with my state. I'm being engaged by other states to ensure that what is remittable to them, because I have to give EFCC kudos here. I've never had any respect. But regarding Bayelsa, EFCC did recognize this principle and gave money to Bayelsa State. My problem with EFCC is that they didn't give everything based on the evidence I have. But to now see my Attorney General to now say we're not giving anything, come on.
What is your word to Malami?
Well, my word to AGF Malami is that Deltans will not fold their hands and allow this to happen. It is our money. It is our money. James Ibori was our governor who was convicted in the UK. Assets seized from him, went through forfeiture and is not being recovered and is being repatriated back to Nigeria. The same with Alamisia. The same UK government. So my advice to the AGF is to please do not engage in this trajectory, because it's going to paint you in such a bad light that whatever good you have done as Attorney General will be washed away completely. This will be the only thing you're going to be remembered for, because it goes contrary to precedence. It discriminates Deltans. And by extension, Nigerians should be concerned, because if you can wake up one day and do this to Deltans, that means you have the potential, the capacity to do it to any state, to anybody, to the federal government, and get away with it. So I'm really pissed off. Excuse my language. We cannot allow this to happen. We cannot.
Thank you.